Yo,
Kendall. Making me mad, bro.
Yo, Kendall.
What up? This a real Jew I can talk to.
Yo, Kendall,
excuse the fuck out of me, nigga. Don't get in trouble for real.
Excuse the fuck out of
Don't get in trouble for real.
All right, well then, nigga, what's up, nigga? I'll spin on drink ass. What you gonna do about it?
Tally, can I get a second?
Yo, you gotta change your PTR before you could talk, nigga.
I did. Yo, Kendall, look.
People who are loyal, who won't sign in, and as long as he's doing something good for the country, I don't see the problem.
We can only.
I buy that Trump wants loyal people, but I think it's because he doesn't want people backstabbing him or undercutting him at the knees when he's trying to get something done. I think that's the main reason why. And he did get a lot of that in 2016, or his first term, I should say, 2016 to 2020. So I think that's a big part of why he's picking the people he's picking.
Because Jason, wasn't there a story at one point that he was asking, like, he didn't understand why the U.S. couldn't use nukes in some scenario, and he was getting a lot of pushback? So,
that was something that people said. I never looked into it. I never fact-checked it. So just assuming that something like that took place, it probably took place in a manner that was very different from how it was characterized. But let's say it went down exactly that way. Trump is like, why can't we nuke some people? And somebody who was like way more responsible spoke up and was like, Mr. President, that would fuck up our country in some way. You can't do that. And then Trump got mad that he couldn't nuke people like a child. I mean, maybe that happened. I don't know, though. I don't put much stock into it because a lot of shit they say Trump did and said is usually either very different, if it happened at all. So I'm skeptical. But to be fair, Trump is a petulant child sometimes, and so it wouldn't. I'm not saying it's impossible that he said or did something like that. I'm just saying I have doubts.
So I thought he was talking about when they were saying that Trump wanted to nuke the hurricane or something like that.
Yeah.
And I bring that up to ask, was that real?
I mean, I don't know. People said it. I don't have any way of knowing, so I just have doubts.
Black, I was.
But I wouldn't put it past Trump to ask a stupid question like that. To be honest with you, like, you know what I mean?
Black, I was in your room when the shooting happened, and it took me a while for me to just grasp that. Look, this is a elderly man, a president got shot. It's not a trolling manner, So it's like with Trump, sometimes you don't know what's serious and what's not, and then it took me a while to pause and be like, okay, this is not funny and something to laugh at all. I was in your room when it happened, and I think we forget because he does so much outrageous things that you forget that he's still a human being, he's still a grandfather, he's still the leader of the country. So it's not funny for him to get shot,
I thought about that in a slightly dark humor, sardonic way the other day. I genuinely want to know how many people in this country secretly but sincerely wish that bullet didn't miss now that he won. I actually am genuinely interested by that question only because I feel like a lot of people secretly feel that way, but they don't want to say it because it's not cool to say. But they hate this man so much that they legit damn man, why couldn't this motherfucker get this dude? I don't know. I actually genuinely want to know that secret number of how many Americans feel like.
Yeah, I think so many people think of him as Hitler, so that anyone that sees him as a threat, then they probably want him dead.
But what percentage of the country is that? I actually genuinely want to know that number. I don't want to know names because it might make me feel some type of way.
I mean, it's probably okay, of all the people who voted for Kamala Harris, how many of them? Probably 10, 9, 8%. Not all of them. Everybody ain't that wild about it. It's crazy.
Do you realize how many people that is?
I mean, it's a lot of people.
70 million.
9%, 8%.
That's insanely high. Are you serious?
It's a lot of people. I'm not trying to cover over that, but it's not all of the Democrats want that to happen. There's a difference between 10 million people or 7 million people or whatever it might be that were damn man, what I should miss, versus you know, I don't know how many people vote in the election, but if it's 330 million people and it's split half and half, okay, you know, it's not half the country that want
Kamala got 74 million votes. That's 7.4 million people.
Okay, 10%, 7 million. That's still a lot. Even that's
7.4 million citizens secretly wish this man got shot in the head.
I think it's even lower than that. I think it's even lower than that. Probably like 1 million.
And now, just to speculate a minute, how do you put that in historical context? Like, do you think, in terms of U.S. presidents in history, do you think there were past presidents that?
How many wanted Abraham Lincoln to get shot?
Right, exactly. Yeah,
I mean, there's probably more because
all
they were
on the South.
Civil unrest. Yeah, they probably wanted. I don't know. It's probably
like
a higher percentage.
Kill the president or just remove them and have a situation dead?
Yes, bro.
Ooh. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you necessarily. I'm just saying.
Yes, bro. Crazy. Because they the way that he would have been viewed in that context makes sense to me. Like.
Not as high as now, or
really
higher
willing to go to war. No, way higher. Motherfuckers was willing to go to whole ass war back before we had like some of the most diabolical weapons.
Well, somebody just took the first shot that was successful, and it led to.
No, we fought a whole ass civil war, bro.
Would we have gone into civil war? The question, okay, would we have gone into civil war if Trump had got shot in the head and died?
Maybe.
I think we would have went to civil war this time.
It's quite possible. I don't know, but
I think it's likely. Yeah.
I don't think so.
You think everybody would have just been calmed down by the mass media?
No, but along what lines were we going to have a civil war?
They breached the Capitol because they didn't like the election results.
It's not the question. Along what lines would there be a civil war?
Supporters and those who are Trump.
This is like having a conversation about dogs that got 10 arms, 10 brains, dumb motherfuckers.
You don't have to listen.
Nah, I'm just rocking this.
Dumb motherfuckers.
This is comes to my room.
Do you know what it's doing?
No.
I think I take every single opportunity to call out the bullshit and, really poke at, all of the insecurities and
Damn, kick me right away. No waiting around. Joy gets around.
Observers. She said, but they were Jews, yes. They weren't Torah observers. We have lost our moral compass as Jews. If we even for one moment condone what has taken place there.
I don't condone it. I'm just saying that there's a little.
You can't.
No, I know, but okay. So let me ask you an overarching question.
Go ahead.
Israel's objective of needing to go into Gaza, hostages, and also defeating Hamas. Do you support that? Just as military objectives?
I don't believe it, Nathan.
Don't believe
it. I don't believe anything that comes out of Bibi Netanyahu's mouth.
Okay.
Not one thing.
I'm just saying, forget about what Netanyahu says.
No. I'm going to tell you, but you asked me a question. When I look, matter of fact, I live in the United States, right? Americans, CIA, FBI folks have killed their own presidents. They've done experiments heard about the Tuskegee experiments with syphilis?
I'm black,
They've
man.
done mass experiments injecting black people with diseases and watching them die from it. I feel about the state of Israel the way I feel about America, that they will do anything to promote an agenda. Anything. The same government that sold Yemenite babies, the Ashkenazim, that government, the same government that left my African brothers to die because they weren't light enough to be permitted entry under the law of return. I can't trust it. I can't trust that what they're showing me is real. But what I can do is trust God. And what Hashem says is that murder is indefensible, that we have to save lives at all costs. To me, Pikuach Nefesh doesn't just apply to Jews. It applies to every single human being. And the moment we start splitting hairs, and the moment we start saying, well, sort of, kind of, but not really, it's okay, we become the same monsters that European Jews ran from in Nazi Germany. I can't tell the difference anymore.
I disagree.
I'm sure you can't. But somebody like me looking at it and looking at Jews making excuses for it, it horrifies me. Because I feel like if you do it to a Palestinian, you do it to me too. I don't feel like Ethiopian Jews are safe. Maybe that's why they were marching by the hundreds of thousands in the street against the Israeli government and the racism and white supremacy that they were suffering.
And the same Ethiopian Jews are prevalent in the IDF.
No, same. Wait, hold on. Let me help you out with that. Hold on. I want to give you that. Akeda bore witness in, where was I? I was in Rishon LeZion. And I watched as Israeli commanders separated the elder Ethiopians who could barely speak English or Hebrew from the youngsters, telling them, you know what? Join the army because you'll have a different life than your elders, than your parents and grandparents. And those kids wanted a better life, no different than the American blacks here, wanted a better life so much that they joined. You and I both know where they were put, on the front fucking lines. You will not tell me, because you haven't lived with the people that I've lived with, that is not white supremacy either. You will not tell me that those same individuals will serve in the military and then get called a cushion 2 days after they leave. Or, God forbid, spit on
Do you think
as a degenerate.
Do you think that even Zionists can read the Torah? They just read what Netanyahu write to them.
Wait a minute. Hold up. I'm not telling Natan anything that he doesn't know. What I'm saying is, use my lens. Use my perspective. For just a half a minute. This is out of control. If you say that it was a military objective, fine. But at the end of the day, like, where's the Adkan moment? When do we say it's too much? When do we say that they've gone too far? When?
Izzy, in all sincerity,
It's
at the end of the
Eze.
day,
But go
whether we go, sorry, what'd you say?
Eze. Not
Eze,
Eze.
sorry. At the end of the day, whether we went the way that we did, or we didn't, or we chose to engage in Gaza, at the end of the day, the Arab world is going to continuously be at war with us, nonetheless, because this has already been written, right? I know Cynic brought up the Zohar, and it's true, there is eschatology there. And a lot of the eschatology, by the way, came about. I actually long for my brother Ishmael. Ishmael, even from a Torah perspective, when you look at the life of Ishmael was a die-hard, devoted worshiper of Hashem. He loved Hashem so much, and that was a lot of the Midrash goes into it, where there was so much strife between Ishmael and Isaac, because Ishmael would look at Isaac and say, "I'm more devoted than you. I'm more committed. I'm more religious. I'm more submissive to God in a lot of ways." And yes, it does say in the Zohar that towards the end of days, Ishmael, right, the Ishmaelites,
which I call basically the House of Ishmael today, is like the world of Islam today. It's not just the Arabs, but that they will be the ones that will cause us the most torture and the most suffering towards the end of days.
Who's us?
And
Who's us?
what's up? Am Israel. Am
Can
Israel.
I ask you a question? And this is going to blow your mind. Do you know how many of my Palestinian friends, Muslims, actually descend from Jews?
There's no doubt about it, of course.
Oh, wait, hold up. Did you just say there's no doubt about it?
I said there's no doubt about it that there are
That many of them descend from Jews in that region?
or people that we call Arabs even today within the Levant that are
Okay.
descendant of Bnei Israel.
And was that factored in when we were blowing up hospitals?
They don't even care if
It's the
whatever.
silence for me.
The thing is,
it's like
is
bomb everything, like
Was
dogs.
that factored in at all?
no, probably
While we
not,
were
because
blowing up hospitals. So here's what Elder said to me.
after so many generations, you're not even considered a Yid anymore.
That's
I
a
mean,
lie.
it's just-
Well, then you
it's
know
a
what? If that
simulation.
is the case,
It's a
and
simulation.
after so many generations, you're not
I know, it's what the
anymore,
Torah says.
then do me a favor. Wipe
That's what the
Ashkenazim
Torah
off. Wipe Ashkenazim off.
No, you are not a Jew. Later.
Stop.
Don't tell me what I am and what I'm not. Thank you.
No,
Don't
it's
do
not
that.
Jew. We're not Jew.
Guys,
We're not
guys,
Jew.
can
We are not
we
Jew.
let as they speak?
We are zero.
As they speak.
If after so many generations, you know that was a bad one. After so many generations, those people are not Jews. Then 99.9% of the Ashkenazim today have no connection to Yahadut at all. After being
Exactly.
That's
That's
true.
your
What makes
motivation.
you a Yid
Damn.
is the Brit, is your Brit that you commit to at the
My
beginning of your
God,
life.
Oh, watch it.
you just mentioned the word Brit.
Yes.
80% of them did not have a Brit Milah when they came to Israel, and you know it.
No, I don't know it.
Okay, would you like me to
How do you
send it
know?
to
Did you check their pants? How do you know that?
No, actually, I grew up Chabad. I grew up amongst the rabbis who were doing the Brit Milahs for people who claimed that the reason why they couldn't be circumcised is because they lived in Russia and it was against the law.
Yeah,
Stop
and a lot
it.
of them were not probably halakhically Jewish in that
Guess
case.
what?
There's been a,
They
because
laughed.
of the Hitler
They
law,
came-
it was
they
only one
came
grandparent.
through Diana. Then you just made my point. Who are we to say that, oh, those Palestinians who descend from Jews aren't Jewish, but Ashkenazim, who we have to look through graveyards and tombstones to see that maybe, sort of, kind of, but not really.
But you have to be a little bit honest here. You can't say that they're part of Am Israel, even
Wait
if
a
they
minute.
are descendant.
Wait a minute. First of all, that's not the way it works, and you and I both know that.
Actually, it
If
is. It is how
If Ashkenazim with no circumcision, who are not observing Torah, who do not have to bow to share amongst 1,000 of them, if those individuals could be automatically accepted as Jews, why not anybody else? And why does it seem, you can help me out with that individuals who are European are automatically accepted as brothers, cousins, family members? But anybody who's brown, dark brown, or black is automatically considered an enemy. To the point where even Jews of Yemenite descent, every single Jew from an Arab country was seen as a degenerate, as an enemy, as somebody who wasn't quite Jewish enough. Are you getting me? This isn't about Torah. This is not about Yishmael and Yitzhak. It's about white supremacy. This is about white supremacy. And we don't have to own it, but it's showing itself.
Racist.
It's showing itself.
The dogs.
I mean, just to be fair,
I think that's a very, with all due respect, I think it's a very simplistic mold.
Well, we're talking about
it's a lot more
very
complex.
simple. We're talking about very simple, mediocre people. I ever thought that there were Jews who were scientists, Jews who were doctors, Jews who were physicists, who would resort to this type of genocide? I would have divorced myself from a whole lot a long time ago. It's a simple argument by simple people. You're right. But the dissonance is real. The dissonance is real.
Like, just look what they do with black Jews in Israel. They give them pills so they not produce.
So Nathan, as are talking, I'm learning a lot here. So
At the end of the day, the brother's not lying. Ethiopian women were given birth control against their will. He knows that Yemenite babies were sold to Ashkenazi women against their will. They told them that their babies were dead. And when some of them had the gumption to dig up the graves, they found that they were empty. 35,000 Ukrainian Jews were airlifted within 3 days, while for the last 30, 40, 50 years, Jews who are suffering and dying as Jews in different African countries are still waiting to have even 10 of them airlifted, much less brought to Israel with visas. How does this all gel? How is Israel a homeland for any other Jews other than Ashkenazim, with all of that being true?
No, that's not true. You know that's
It
not
is very
true.
true.
That's not true.
I love-
No, you know that's
I
not true
love-
because
I lived-
Israel has went out of its way.
Nigeria.
You know that Israel has went out of its way to go and help any Jew that was in distress and bring them Operation Moses. Operation Moses.
I'm not excuse me. You can talk about Mitzvah Shlomo, you can talk about Mitzvah Moshe. Baby, that was 30-something years ago.
Correct. But throughout the last 75 years,
Right
anytime that a community, whether it was the B'nai Menashe in India,
excuse me,
anybody who wanted to make Aliyah, they would go and bring them back as a safe haven.
Africa, name one Abayudai that was brought. Name one Lemba that was brought. Name one Igbo community that was brought. You know what's interesting though? Israelis have big businesses in their countries. Oh my goodness. Huge auto plants. Huge agricultural businesses. Oh yeah. Their communities are not allowed to even go to a Bet Knesset in an Israeli Jewish community. Not allowed to use a mikveh at all. Guess how I know? Because I was there.
Just to be fair, Nathan does not speak Hebrew and he's never been to Israel. So if you could pick easy.
Stop.
Soren, can you stop derailing?
He understands me very well, don't you? Imagine me sitting for the last just 10 years trying to get African Jewish men in yeshiva and being told, I'm sorry, they're not Jewish enough. And by the way, do they wear clothes? That is a direct quote. I had a Lord Aswa, a chief rabbi in Baltimore, tell me, listen, Akira, I understand your problem, but being black and Jewish is like cancer. Nobody wants it. That's a direct quote. That's a direct quote. I went to Ner Yisrael in Baltimore. I went to Yeshiva University, my own alma mater. I was told no, but there were plenty of spaces for Jews of European descent. I don't have to lie. This is real talk, and I can back it up with receipts. Israel is not the homeland of Jews.
It's really giving Nazism. That's what it's. This is like worse than segregation, worse than apartheid. To say to a black person to their face, no, you don't belong here because you're black. I mean, that's great. I don't have the word.
And they're using Ethiopians to cover their ass, knowing full well that Ethiopians were not treated like other Jews from other countries. That most of them were left to die, which is why the suicide rate was so high amongst that second and third generation, because they were separated from their family members. Did you see that picture? Picture on the plane where Ethiopians had big numbers on stickers attached to their head. I mean, how demeaning. How demeaning. Look where they were put. Their absorption centers were near Dimona, near the Hebrew Israelites. What message does that send? They didn't send them to Jerusalem. They didn't send them to Eilat, Tel Aviv. No. They sent them to Dimona. You can't talk what you haven't lived, Nathan. Just look. All I'm asking you to do is to look at it again and pretend that you're a little black girl who loves Torah, who loves Yahadut, who loves Am Yisrael, and is trying hard, really hard to give people the benefit of the doubt. It just can't because of what she's seen and lived.
You know, I really have a big doubt that if you were to come into my Chabad, because I have a Chabad, like that's my go-to one. If you were to walk in,
I've already been there.
I'm in Toronto.
Oh,
but if you were to walk in,
I'm in the United
if you were to come into an Ashkenazi, by the way, an Ashkenazi Chabad house, that they would reject you or look off color at you or anything like that.
And not to what I tell you that I have spoken for Chabad Women's Day, that I'm actually a graduate of a Chabad yeshiva, that most of the shluchim that are in Toronto and other places I've actually gone to school with. What if I were to tell you that the places where I learned German and Yiddish were in those very spaces, and that the first words that I learned was Schwauze and Tinkler and words the equivalent of nigger in the English language? What if I told you?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that you went through that experience.
Not unfortunate. It's criminal. I need you to say it with me. It's criminal. It is criminal.
It's you know what's even more than that? It's Halil Hashem.
But you know what's worse?
More than anything else.
You know what's worse? It's proof for me that if you would treat your own quote unquote Jewish sister that way, what would you do to a non-Jew? How could I bear witness for you? Like if I were going to bear witness for certain communities and say, no, they didn't do it. Like in the back of my mind, I'm like, but don't you remember? Didn't you see? Can't bear witness to what my eyes haven't seen and my ears haven't heard.
But you know that this is not the core teaching of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, right?
What I'm going to say, wait, hold on. I actually lived in Crown Heights while the Lubavitcher Rebbe was alive. Did you ever see him alive?
No, I didn't. It was before my time. He died when I was born.
I did twice a week for my entire yeshiva education. Twice a week. I know what it is to get kosher bracha. I know what it is to get dimes and dollars from the Rebbe. Most people don't. You know what I also thought was interesting about Chabad? That they built Chabad houses everywhere but in Ethiopia. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. Are there even Jews in Ethiopia?
No. We're talking about 40 years ago. When people were being sent out all over the world, they were never sent to Ethiopia, where there was a large, not even Yemen. Not even Yemen. How is it possible that there were no shluchim, there were no rabbis sent to the oldest Jewish communities in the world?
Yeah, Nathan.
Two words. White supremacy.
White supremacy, the colonizer.
But with all due respect, wasn't there a war that was happening at that time? There was a civil war.
No. There was a war
why did they need to?
Ethiopia. There wasn't one in
As you think they only stole Yemeni babies? They stole Moroccan babies in Algeria.
Wait.
They stole the Moroccan and Algerian babies.
The state of Israel has already apologized for it.
Oh, but it's not just the Yemeni babies. It's also Moroccan and Algerian.
Absolutely. I'm just talking about what they apologized for.
Amir, check your chat.
I need to check my chat?
No, it's just...
No, Amir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not directed to you, thank you.
At the end of the day, you know what? I mean, I don't know who Slacker is, but I'll tell you what I do know is that once African Jews stand up for themselves and refuse to be indoctrinated by Ashkenazi Eurocentric Judaism, they're going to do it for themselves. And once they do it for themselves, the glory will go to Hashem. It will go to the Borei HaOlam Yishtabach Shemo, to the creator of the universe. May his name forever be praised. And no one else is going to be able to take credit for their journey. So, okay, you didn't send anybody to help them. Okay, you didn't send anybody to these African Jewish countries to assist. Great. Let them give God the glory directly. Let it not go through any one person, one rabbi, or anybody else. When we come, we'll be coming as David did before Goliath, with nothing more than the name of God. And what a day that will bring.
Damn, is it? You need to come in more often. I've never seen Natalie or any of those pro-baby killers this quiet.
Nathan, are you okay?
I missed out on a lot whilst I was away.
Ezra, you're very articulate.
Well, absolutely, Ezra. Thanks for that. I mean, I think the
problems that you've been to Israel, to occupied Palestine. You basically very educated about the topic, and thanks for sharing your intelligence. And I'm pretty sure you are the one who actually can educate. I mean, and raise awareness of this issue, because many of these people are simply. They're not inherently bad people. They're just uneducated. They're just simply ignorant.
Yeah.
I don't want to name anyone here. I don't want to name anyone. Some of these people never been to Israel.
So one second.
Yeah.
So at this point, you cannot say people are ignorant.
Yeah.
If we're watching 14 months of fucking babies getting blown into pieces, you cannot say like, oh, this was one misdirected missile. This is not the lack of education. You're just witnessing a genocide. And if you're supporting that, your God must be Satan. There is no other way possible. I don't care, you go to church, synagogue, mosque, Buddhist temple, whatever there is. This is a very conscious decision that you make consistently for 14 months supporting this genocide. It's not misinformation or ignorance. This is an absolute choice. There's not a way of putting it.
Absolutely.
But you know what I'm going to say too? And my brother asked me this. He said, do you think here in the United States, people saw crosses burning on Black people's lawns, right? Black men being lynched publicly, hung on trees, their limbs cut off, and then mailed through the postal system. Most people don't know that history either. This is the history of America. Black men, their genitals cut off, them being burned alive, and their fingers and toes being sold as souvenirs. And people stood around and they watched. The word picnic comes from pick a nigger. They would have picnics where they would burn Black men alive. And not for a crime, it was for sport. You're right, that is absolutely demonic. But it's real.
Is it not the same thing with Thanksgiving?
Right now, hold on.
Of course.
Is it, correct me if I'm wrong, is it not the same thing with
Absolutely.
with Thanksgiving was when the whoever those men were,
and they gave out blankets with smallpox so that the people would catch diseases and die.
American Indian Genocide Day was Thursday.
Right, that's Thanksgiving, and they were being rewarded
I
for
want
slaughtering.
you guys to take a step back and look at it. How normalized has that genocide become? Nobody stands up and says, we are looking at indigenous people massacred with maybe a couple of 100,000 of them left, if that. And everybody's sitting around eating turkey.
That's not true. A lot of people were stopping the Thanksgiving Day parade on the national level. A lot of us were busy.
We're in 2024.
That's not everybody.
We are in 2024. And 99, and you know what? I would say 80% of Black people celebrate that holiday and have renamed it as Thanksgiving as opposed to. So how does that happen? Do you know that Black people?
What do you mean, how does that happen? It's called
how does it happen?
It's called what do you mean? Brainwash
How
people?
is it? Wait a minute. I posted on my page, I said, imagine if Jews were to celebrate, capital letters, Warsaw Concentration Camp Day. And they were to serve bowls of gruel and potato soup and wear dirty prison uniforms. Wouldn't people look at them like they were out of their bird-ass minds?
Yeah, but you have to remember, Professor James Small once wrote, when you practice the culture of those who commit genocide against you, you will commit genocide against yourself.
That is absolutely
true. I hope that helps answer your question.
It is
So
new
that
neo-colonialism, and it
that
definitely
must explain how Jews are able to do what they're doing in Gaza.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Just trying to help.
Yeah,
I'm not God forbid denying. I'm just saying it's triggering for me because I would expect people in 2024 to be smarter than this, more
Well, let me
conscious.
make it worse for you. Last Thanksgiving, the Black American community collectively spent, I repeat, collectively spent $1.9 billion. That was last year.
On what?
I'm gonna wait for
On what?
Oh, you know, Good Friday is Friday after Thanksgiving.
No, it didn't include no Big Friday. Fuck all that. No, just the Thanksgiving alone. Not your Black Friday and that. Oh, no.
That's scary.
So that should scare you in 2024, 2023. That should scare you.
Mango, you can, by the way, remove individuals that are blaspheming in the chat. Just letting you know that's on this policy. Blasphemy is just immediately removed. Don't hold back.
Quite a few always do that, even when they are on the stage, like just blocking from important content to be shared.
Yeah, that would be good. If you don't mind me asking, what do you think the solution would be, or how do you think that this will end in Gaza?
Okay,
Right now,
do we
are you
have to
asking me or
talk about
somebody else?
solutions? Do we have to go there?
I don't think there's nothing else to talk about, because without a solution, these people will get annihilated.
Well, that's what.
Haven't they already been annihilated?
I mean, hello.
Yeah, but these people have been suffering for 75 years. Finally, finally,
why are you asking about
the solution is there, man. It's not like we don't know how to raffle this solve this riddle or something. The solution is already there, but as long as these people living in between three walls and a beach, then I mean, you know, this is not really complicated. It almost sounds like I'm making a joke out of this, but if we still gotta sit here after 76 years, what would be the solution?
The problem here is,
Joe, by the way, the Egyptian authorities actually were in Israel yesterday. They're trying to talk about the ceasefire of some sort, right? Lindsey Graham was in Israel as well yesterday. And Lindsey Graham told Netanyahu that you got to end this before Trump takes office. So there is a lot of pressure, right, on Netanyahu from all of these folks, and inshallah, it's I think it's going to happen soon, man. But the other issue is even after ceasefire, they're not going to leave Gaza. They're still going to be in Gaza.
Yep. And they have already made plans how Gaza is going to look 2035. Understand what I mean? And it's probably going to be free of Palestinians. So the problem is that we have approximately 2 million Palestinians living in Gaza. We have 6 million Palestinians living in the West Bank. Combined, there are 8 million. And then we have another 2 million living inside the borders of Israel. So that's 10 million. And I'm not even counting those that are in Jordan, Lebanon, and in the rest of the diaspora. And having a one-state solution would be catastrophic for the Israelis, because they are neo-Nazis. They have already dehumanized these people. They don't want a country filled where they are going to be the minority, and they will have a population, Muslims living within their country. Understand what I mean?
Well, then they need to move out. They need to get some suitcases and pack up and.
I agree with you. So it can't be a one-state solution, right?
Some suitcases. You asked for solutions. So one solution could be we contact Walmart and just get
we have to be
shipments of suitcases.
We have to be serious.
I'm being serious.
Yo, can one of the mods move this clown down? This is just, it's like a troll at this point.
There's so many
Move this clown down.
Hold on.
Let's get rid of this person.
I'm sorry.
There are too many people on the stage, guys. And there's so much being shared that is so new to me. And having all these unnecessary people on stage it just stops us from getting that knowledge, basically. So who's spamming the stage? I haven't really paid attention.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's finished.
Guys, I do have a question from the chat. So Butters wrote, please don't use this deflection as an excuse for the genocide atrocities being committed today because the Arab slave trade was never denied historically. See you on the stage.
I'm sorry, so what? What is this guy talking about?
It's
slavery?
the last chat from Butters, basically.
Is he gonna deny that the West Africans sold each other into slavery? Like, why you guys want to talk about slavery? Why do people, when discussing about Palestine, they want to bring up the whole history of Islam? They want to even bring up the history of Christianity, the history of Arabs, and pile this all on the lap of Palestinians and say, oh, now you need to pay for the sins of your forefathers or for what they perceive to be the sin, even though they're no better. Even though the one without sin cast the first stone, they're not even the ones without sin. Like, why? Are you just stupid? Are you a hypocrite? Or what exactly? Fucking pathetic people, man.
I agree with you.
Speak on that, actually.
Please
I don't
know
think-
that just like Christians sold Africans, Muslims did sell Africans, but Jews did too.
Everybody.
Everybody
But
had
it
a
wasn't
piece of
just
that pie.
Africans.
No. What I am saying is that nobody is free. No, everyone has blood on their hands.
100%.
But in the event that happened, then shouldn't we be in a better place today? That doesn't excuse going and bombing the hell out of women and elderly and children. I'm sorry. They
And
were not at war.
I'd like to add on and say it's a mindset thing. People bring up religion and the history of Americans and Africans during the times of colonialism and neocolonialism, as well as the slave trade of the Arabs and the West Africans and Central Africans as well. But the reason is, I mean, it all stems to the mindset, like I said, because Jerusalem is the land of all three Abrahamic religions, whether you agree with that or not. It's the land of the Jews, Christians, and Arabs. I mean, and Muslims. And there were Arab, African. There were Arabs. There were African Jews, as well as Christians and Muslims. So that is why people bring up the fact that, you know, the history of slavery and genocide and ethnic cleansing, because that's exactly what's going on with Israel. And not sorry, but Israel is not really the land of the Jews. I mean, it's and they say they're Judaism. They're Jewish. They're actually Zionists. They're just Zionists. That's really all it is. And America keeps funding them, unfortunately, and the West keeps funding them. But we'll see what's going on. Like Amir said, Egypt is actually putting pressure on Netanyahu, and we'll see what goes on from here.
I mean, Lindsey Graham from America. But that's for a ceasefire. We don't need a ceasefire. We need a permanent solution. Because, you know, these Ashkenazi Jews, they are not normal in the head. They are Nazis. You know?
Yes, they are. I agree with you, brother. And I don't believe in the two-state agreement. I believe the two-state solution. I believe that it is the land of the Palestinians, and when the Polish and these Zionists were exiled from Europe, the only land that accepted them was Palestine. Why? Because there were already Jews and Christians and Muslims living amongst each other.
I think the two-state solution is really the only viable and realistic solution. One-state solution is just not.
But Edward, the problem is that how would they do a two-state solution? Have you seen how they have dismantled the West Bank? Like they are building.
The settlements would have to go.
They are confiscating Palestinians' home. They are taking new areas.
How are you gonna move?
The settlements would have to go.
A freaking amusement park over grave.
Hold on. Let me answer this.
The Palestinians are living as refugees.
Well, I'm Palestinian, so let me answer, please.
Go ahead.
So when Palestinians speak of a two-state solution, it's assumed, and rightfully assumed, that the settlement would not be in
what would be Palestine. Israel has already defined its border, the 1967 lines. So anything after those lines, they are trespassing on foreign land.
Edward, who are these lines made by? Exactly. And before let's go back
No,
to
but
the
why go
1884 Berlin
back?
Conference.
It doesn't matter.
No, hear me out. We heard you back. I heard you. Just 1 second. Let's go back to the 1884 Berlin Conference, where European nations came together and decided to literally make lines in Africa and borders when there were just lands and empires. This is all just like the sister said earlier, white supremacy and Zionism. That's all.
Yeah. I understand. But Edward, let's go with your thought. What about the Oslo Accords? Because then you have Yasser Arafat actually signing a paper where they are allowed to have Israelis living in the West Bank.
There was land swaps. But it was very minor. But what we have now is almost a bisection of the West Bank, which would be Palestine. We have settlements going nearly cutting the West Bank in half, almost in half. All that has to go. The Oslo Accords are pretty much on the 1967 lines.
No. Edward, you have to look that up. Area A.
Yes.
You
No.
sign it off to them.
No, I'm not. I understand Area A, B, and C, but areas A, B, and C are supposed to be the Palestinian state. That's supposed to be the whole, not the whole nation, not the entire nation, but this was cut up afterwards.
Exactly. There was land swaps, but
No, the land swaps in Area A, B, and C are two different things. When you say Area A, B, and C, it refers to how much control Israel has over those areas.
They
so
live
C,
in Area A.
C, they live in Area C. That's off limits.
By the West.
That's still Palestinian land.
Yeah,
so they have to be
before 67.
According to
Ahmed, real quick. Ahmed, you're right. However, I don't want my people to keep fighting. So, for needlessly fighting and losing their lives. I am willing to settle, and Palestinians are willing to settle for what is the 1967 borders as a two-state solution. And I don't want one state. Because even if we have one state, a lot of these white supremacists will be in this state, and I don't want my Palestinian brothers and sisters to be poisoned, our culture to be poisoned by this, I don't know what you would call it, by their deviancy. I don't want this. So I would like a two-state solution for, one, it's realistic, more realistic than a one-state solution, but also I would like separation from Israel. Period. I want separation from those that are Zionists.
Okay, then we just have to agree to disagree, bro. I hear you well and clear.
The problem is that, it takes two to tango. And unfortunately, the Israelis have already made up their mind. They're not gonna have sit down in good faith with the Palestinians and engage with them in like normal fashion. And you have a state, they already have planned to annex land in the West Bank. They have practically already done that. The Israeli government are funding these settlements that are being built. Right? So
we would not be sitting down. See, the mistake we made in Oslo is listening to the U.S. and the West when they said, and they continue to say, actually, this can't be settled in the United Nations or legally. This has to be settled between between Palestinians and Israelis when they sit down together at the table. All this bullshit that they fed us. And they fed us this bullshit. Why? Because we didn't know, Palestinians didn't know that we did and do have rights guaranteed to us by international law, by the UN. We do have these rights. So when we do sit down, we'll be sitting down with Israel, but we'll be sitting down with the United Nations, and we'll be sitting down with the 140 plus countries that have backed a Palestinian state. We'll be sitting down with all these people, and it's not going to be the U.S. and Israel versus Palestine. We're not making the same mistake.
Yeah, but you have to understand first off, the Oslo Accords, it was held by Norway, right? Okay. Norway came out and said, we recognize, after October 7th, we recognize Palestinians as a state. They know that Israel is not doing it. So this is not, they're not even hiding what they're doing, right? The United States are backing Israel. They have already annexed land from Syria, the Golan Heights, right? They are already, and they're already planning on, they're already calling the West Bank Judea and Samaria. So they are gonna annex that land. The only problem they have is they don't know how to get rid of the Palestinians.
That is a problem. And when you say they annex or they want to annex, it doesn't mean it's going to be recognized by the United Nations or by the other nations.
Recognized with the Golan Heights.
No, it's not legal. It's just not legal. Syria can go. Syria's
got to get back in that though first. And over the years, Hama and some of their own cities.
I think after over a year, I don't think we are that heavily reliant on support to help us. This will be settled between the great powers, and unless we have leverage, this cause will continue to bleed blood, redundant. And a two-state solution is more realistic than a one-state solution. But let's not fool ourselves. What they've done in the West Bank and between West Bank and Gaza was all intentional. If we get a supposed state on these 23% of the land that are not connected and that have settlements within, we're going to have a quasi-state, a fake state with no real power. There is no way anybody would expect 1 million radical settler in the West Bank to pack up their bags and leave. If the Israeli government takes that decision, I'm pretty sure we're talking about civil clashes within Israeli society.
Exactly. Well, obviously, they wouldn't have after Gaza. They withdrew from Gaza in 2005, and they
25,000 settlers that were removed forcibly.
They didn't withdraw from Gaza in 2005. That's not what happened.
The Israeli police forces and IDF went to a great length to remove 25,000 settlers.
Imagine removing almost 600, 700,000.
But that was clearly
a mistake. They have to armed, by the way.
It was clearly a mistake to cede that land to Palestinians.
They removed 7,000 settlers, but then they moved the terrorism, the occupation force around the borders of Gaza.
But you guys don't.
And then they put a blockade.
You don't understand the history of the Oslo Accords. It's the Palestinians.
No, you don't, Mike. You don't. Yeah, I was say it's obviously you don't understand it.
Freedom. So the thing is, I agree with Prince. It's gonna be so fucking hard to remove this terrorist settlers from the West Bank. is going to be
but not impossible. It has to be done.
It will not. First of all, hold on. First of all, let's be serious. It would not be impossible as long as Israel. If United States and Israel come to the agreement that that's what's going to happen, it'll be done very easily. Very easily, because you're going to bring in the military.
Why would the Israelis?
It's not likely to happen.
Can somebody explain why Israelis would minimize their state?
They wouldn't. They wouldn't. That's why I'm saying, like the United Nations.
They're not. What they need to do is just go back to the 67 borders and let Palestinians have their state, and then they'll be fine.
Right, and go back to Poland or whatever they came from.
No, well, the point is, I'm sure there'll be creative ways to remove the settlers from the West Bank. We already have the law on our side.
Shut the fuck up, Mike.
We already have the law on our
Fuck up.
side.
You don't know shit about shit. Shut the fuck up.
We already have the law on our side, and we have the ICJ opinion that came out a few months ago, saying that what the border is.
Yes, and they said all the settlements are all illegal, all of them,
and that the West Bank, Israel needs to leave the West Bank and pay reparations to the Palestinians. I mean, they went pretty far. This is a very stern, very clear opinion from the ICJ, which is the legal body.
Sorry, Edward,
let me land. It is the legal body of the United Nations, and out of 193 countries, that was annoying, and so 193 countries, 140 something countries stand behind Palestine. So we do have leverage. It's not like we're powerless now.